Okay, welcome back folks to this particular lab. The next step we need to do is roll up our project here and create what's known as a client application. So the client application is similar to a runtime that you would create for a PanelView Plus. The difference here is that the client application we create will ultimately run on another PC. So what we're going to do is create this client application, install it on one of the PCs at your work cell in IMC. Meanwhile, it's going to connect back to the desktop PC in the programming lab, where the programming lab computer acts as the server. So it runs the project, and the client application at the work cell connects to it to retrieve data, to monitor data, all from that server computer inside the programming lab. So in order to create the client application, we have two options. Number one, there's a client application creation wizard built right into FactoryTalk View Studio, or you can also access it through the program menu, Rockwell software folder, and you can also find it there. So for now, what I'm going to do is use the icon that's built right into FactoryTalk View Studio up at the top, and you're going to see a little white screen with a red outline. So we'll click on that, and that'll start up our client wizard. Okay, and we've got a couple of options here. So right at the top we have the New button, which is what we're going to choose at this point. Now once we've created that client application, if we wanted to do some edits and then rebuild that app, what we need to do is go down into the Edit application, and then ultimately, of course, we can write over top of the application, the client application I should say, that we've already made. So to begin with, we'll click on New, and we'll call this our lab title. Okay, with the extension client, as far as where we're going to store it, you'll want to store this into your Lab2 folder that's on the PC, and then from there you'll copy it over to your USB key to take back out to a work cell. Okay, so I'll navigate to the folder that I want to save this in, and I'll accept that storage location, click on Next. And of course, the type of application that the client's going to connect to is a network distributed project. So because we created a distributed project, we need to make sure we select that so that the client knows exactly what type of project it's going to interface with. So we'll click Next with that radio button selected. Next thing we need to do is determine which project do we want to roll up as a client. So that's going to be our Lab2 file. So we'll select that from the drop-down menu. The other statements here can remain as default, or the other checkboxes. Okay, and select the initial runtime language. You may need to select the English version for the United States here. I know I mentioned it before. I'm not sure why we don't have a Canadian version, but such is the case. So we'll click on Next, move forward. And on the next window you have several options or several fields that we need to select. So first of all, from an area perspective, if there was an area that we specifically wanted to activate in our application or start from, then we would put it here. But we want to start in the root since we want access to all three different areas in the project. So what I mean by that is click on the ellipses, and you're going to select the SCADA Lab 2 application title. Say OK, and you're going to notice you end up with a / here. If you had selected a specific area, then the area title would follow along to the right of the /. And the other component that we need to select here is the initial display. So of course we only have one display at this particular point. We're going to select Process Overview. And the other four options are for optional components that you could build into your application. But we're happy with that for now. So if we have initial display selected, we can click on Next. So if we work through and highlight some of the options in the next window here, you'll notice we have title bar text. So title bar text, when the client window opens up, you can actually specify what you'd like it to state at the top of the window itself. So I'm going to say James Brewery, okay, operator client window. And that'll be applied once we open up the client. Okay, and of course we're going to show the title bar and the system menu and the close button, etc. Here we can actually change or specify the client window size in pixels, which should come from the original application itself. Allow client to be resized at runtime. And of course we want to leave that checked because it'll allow the operator some flexibility if they want to resize the window if they're doing multiple operations at a time. As far as the client window, we do need to change that to the size that was specified previously from our Lab 1 document. So we'll enter in those values. Okay, and the other options we can leave as default. You notice you can disable switching to other applications, which I expect would force the operator to only operate this particular application once it's open. So we'll click Next. And here, this is a auto logout feature. If you want to have the client application to automatically log out, so if someone is to come up to a remote terminal in a plant setting and they do or perform whatever monitoring or control they require, and then they leave the station for whatever reason and forget to go back to log it off, this allows the configurability of having the application itself automatically log out within a particular inactivity period that you specify. For now, we're simply going to deselect this box so that it doesn't automatically log us out as we do our testing. So click Next. And here you can save the configuration and open the client now. So once it rolls up that application, it would pop up on this particular PC and you'd be able to test it. What we're going to say is simply save configuration and exit, because we want to go test this out on the work cell floor. So with save configuration and exit highlighted, we'll click on Finish. Okay, now that's it at this particular point in terms of creating the client application. So verify that it's saved correctly in the folder that you specified. The file itself will have a .cli file extension. So copy over that client file to your USB key and then take it out to the work cell, and you can continue from there. We'll move on to the next video at the next step.